What to draw when you feel like drawing, but you don't know what you feel like drawing. Or you do and you don't know how to draw it, or you're scared to start, or whatever other myriad of reasons are keeping you from making art. Basically, how to just start making something. I could make a whole separate 10 episode series on art block or what's keeping you from making art or solutions to those problems, but in this video, I just want to keep it simple. Because I think it's very easy to complicate art when really creating is one of the most simple and innocent activities. Like, you hand a kid some paper and a pencil and they start making something. Making a mess, maybe, but if you don't know what to draw, you need to try and disconnect from that feeling that you need to be drawing something and start reconnecting with the natural urge you have just to make. One way that I like to do that is to experiment in a thoughtless way, which is a lot harder than it sounds, because if you're having trouble drawing and you don't know what to draw, you probably have trouble with overthinking. So, as you may have noticed, this video starts with me just testing out color palettes. And when I say testing out color palettes, I don't mean color theory to actually learn about color mixing. I mean childish color mixing. Like, I'm just looking at my paint being like, ooh, that color looks pretty, I'll use that. So today I was like attracted to this light purpley color. I mean, you see what's going on and what colors I'm using. By the way, if you can't tell, I'm not worried about making a perfect page of swatches when I'm done. Like I'm some kind of million view sketchbook flip through on YouTube. The point is to take some steps in the right direction. So experiment and be okay with a mess. If working in a sketchbook is messing you up because you want it to be perfect, maybe don't work in your sketchbook. You can always tape your finished product in if you like it. So find an activity that is thoughtless, but still art related to get you back into making. If you don't use color, like you're a graphite person, maybe you can experiment with some textures or a Zentangle. Is that what it's called? Like doodling and noodling around. Like, if you feel yourself overthinking the activity, dumb it down more. If doodling turns into what should I doodle next, where should the line go to make it look good, just start making lines and swirls and shapes, or fill the page up with eyes like you're 13 and first calling yourself an artist again. Stop worrying about the page, because that's why you don't know what to draw, because you care about the finished product. And what I've learned is if you stop worrying about the finished product and make some bad art, quotations around bad, you'll end up with more good finished products. So back to what's happening in the video. Usually what I find happens after I start one of these low effort, brainless art tasks like testing out color palettes is I get bored, which is a good thing. It's like tricking a picky kid into eating food. Like, once I'm sitting there with all the art materials out and I already tricked myself into trying it, I might as well draw, especially if I get dessert at the end. I don't know if this metaphor makes any sense, but like, basically, if I start painting, something good will come out of it in the end. Like, even if it's not the finished product that's good, I think every creating session makes me into a better artist. So when I got bored of testing color palettes, I still didn't know what I felt like drawing, so without giving myself time to overthink, on the spot, I just took a selfie of myself and started sketching it out and then painting it, as you can see. I decided to use the color palette I had been experimenting with, but if that makes you feel limited, use whatever colors you want and whatever medium you want, for that matter. The point, again, is just to make, so don't do something because it's going to match the page better. Use whatever you want to use. Use whatever keeps you going, you know? Now you can see why I'm always drawing myself. It's just so easy. Like, you're always there as reference. And I think when you draw other people, you care more about getting their likeness, and you can just be more expressive drawing yourself. So if you don't know what to draw but you feel like drawing, maybe try a self-portrait. Not like a photorealistic self-portrait that people could go, oh, that's you. But just use your face as a base to continue experimenting. So I just, as you can tell, really quickly sketched out my face and then continued with the same color palette. I wasn't trying to use any special techniques. I wasn't trying to layer the colors in a certain way. I was just putting down colors as I felt like putting down colors, just to simply enjoy the gouache painting process. Just a side note, look how different the painting looks from the angle I was painting it at. versus the top angle, like where the camera is. There's just something off about the forehead from the top angle. Anyways, once I had finished painting that selfie I took, and by finished I don't mean refined and perfected it, I mean painted it until I wasn't in the mood anymore, I found myself just putting down a blob of water and just dropping the paint colors in the water to just watch it flow. This is another type of thoughtless art experiment that I do all the time. It's one of my favorite ways to get back into making art, or just to sketch in general. If you're using water-based paints, try making blobs of water like I did here, and just play around with mixing and granulating the paints in the water. When I use watercolor, I usually like to let it dry and then go back in with pen and find images in the paint blobs that I wasn't expecting. It's honestly such a good way to generate ideas when you don't know what to draw, but when you want to make something more creative, I guess. When I was done with this page of my sketchbook, I cleaned up all my stuff and I thought I was done painting for the day. But as the hours went by, I couldn't help but feel like I had just started to scratch my itch to make something. So while I was watching a show, I found myself just grab my sketchbook wanting to draw. But again, I didn't know what I wanted to draw. So instead of pushing down this feeling, scared that I'm going to mess up the page, I once again decided to act before I had time to talk myself out of making. I decided to quickly scroll on my phone and just randomly pick out reference photos, which is kind of similar to the selfie thing. It just forces you to draw what's in front of you without thinking about it. I started by sketching out a photo of the street I took when I first moved out west, and I took photos every single time I saw mountains because it was just shocking. From there, I moved on to another selfie of myself, and the page kind of developed into what you see now. So I guess it's another tip. If you don't know what to draw, go through your camera roll and draw random photos you have. You may be surprised with where the page ends up, but a warning, this is a bit riskier than just painting blobs or thoughtless experiments. By risky, I mean it may lead you back where you started, unsure what to draw or not wanting to draw the next day. Just remember, if you're drawing from reference photos, you have to challenge yourself to not care if it looks like the reference. Otherwise, if you mess up, you may wind up scared to draw, unsure what to make again. I ended up continuing the painting with the colors I had used on the other page, but honestly, I pretty quickly got bored. Probably because I was drawing from reference and using the same colors. It was just too repetitive. So I had a choice: force myself to continue or call it a night. I decided I would just fill in all the shapes I had drawn with a quick coat of color before stopping. And so the spread isn't beautiful or finished. I may actually get back to it and finish it, but that's another good tip. If you don't know what to draw, maybe finish an unfinished page in your sketchbook. Anyways, I decided to end my painting session there, because I made steps in the right direction, which was the goal of today. And if I keep painting and I'm not enjoying it, I'm just gonna burn myself out. So that's that. Because it's not about having a perfect final product, it's about building up creative stamina. Not drawing for 10 hours today, but drawing a little bit today, a little bit tomorrow. I think that's about it for this video. I'm not sure if this helped anyone, but the reason I made this is because I felt like being creative and I didn't know what to draw. So basically, I figured out the tips as I went along and ended up with a finished spread in my sketchbook. So if anything, this video helped me. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Bye.